We all seek to have an impact on the world in which we live. We want to know that our efforts make a difference. How we do this varies significantly. It occurs through nonverbal action or verbal communication, group dynamics or individual leadership, creative strategic planning, or executing a pre-existing plan. John Behrends speaks with great energy and enthusiasm. He will build esteem, ask soul-searching questions, stretch minds, and lift spirits.
My goal, in fact, is to stir people's minds.
Yeah, okay. Now you got me all confused.
I'm a mind stirrer.
You are.
He's comfortable working with individuals and small groups, yet he's very much at home in the large keynote address. It is important to be aware of how our behavior impacts others, to understand how other people impact us, to accept those we work and live with, to adapt to the existing differences, and celebrate our strength through this demonstrated diversity. John's manner will inspire people to grow within their personal and professional lives. He will use well-timed, appropriate humor, which adds much to the delivery.
To discover that you can leave the house with dishes in the sink is a wonderful, liberating truth. There are no dish police. Yes, there are fruit flies.
I hate them. Man, how long do you leave your dishes? 2 minutes, and they're there. I don't know.
I'm supposed to be delivering the humor.
I know.
That was really good.
You will leave the room thinking differently about some aspect of your life. Now, let's see and hear what John has to share with us from his extensive experience and background.
But I would like to see the hands of those of you who can answer this question. Who of you in the room can give me a vividly clear, articulated, verbal portrait of our world 5 years hence? Could I see your hands, please? George Bernard Shaw says it beautifully. He said, and this is the true meaning of life. Being recognized as having a purpose, indicated by myself as being a mighty one. Being a force of nature rather than a feverish little cloud of ailments complaining about the fact that the world will not devote itself to my happiness. Life is no brief candle to me, but I have a hold of it as a flaming torch, and I want to have it burn as brightly as possible until I pass it on to the next generation. It is said that all business results are a function of behavior. When the results are positive, the behavior is studied, documented, and repeated. When the results aren't positive, we study the behavior and change it, thusly changing the result. Why do people behave the way they do? The dynamics of human interaction is interesting and complex, but it's also understandable. When understood, this interaction is very effective and rewarding. This will change your life, I believe, unless you've already had it changed. What do negative people know how to do? Negative things. What do positive people know how to do? All right, what do critical people know how to do? What do angry people know how to do? So when somebody pulls out in front of you on the highway, many of us get angry. We speak to them. We generate adrenaline. We may even use various kinds of digital gestures. And I don't even know who they are. In leadership and power, it's very, very important that I understand the behavior of the person that I have chosen to follow, because it is the follower that indeed assigns the leader their power. When it comes to performance, there are 5 basic factors that influence how people behave. Events, belief systems, thoughts, attitudes, and feelings. In your groups, what I would like now to have you do is to rank order those 5 You'll see your individual list on the left. You rank order them first yourself and then talk with the people around you and see what their lists look like. And then create a group list which represents a consensus of your group's opinion. You are not what you do. You are also not what you have. You are also not what others think you are. One of the great challenges of today's life is to adapt to change. It is occurring at a very rapid rate. It affects us both personally and professionally. Change is a part of life, and the ability to adapt and respond to it effectively is a valuable tool. To let go of what no longer works, to rethink what I thought was truth, and to unlearn, process, all relate to change and transition. Change, of course, is what takes place outside of me and often is imposed upon me by other people. Transition is my response internally to the change that has been imposed on me. The speed with which I can dismantle what no longer works, to move through that transition zone called the neutral zone that Bill Bridges refers to, can be very difficult and chaotic. But on the other side awaits me opportunity that I may never have dreamed of before. That's where the rub comes in, because most of us don't change very quickly. We don't embrace change. We resist change, and yet most of us really like change. But what we don't understand is there is a difference between what goes on outside of me and what goes on inside of me. What goes on outside of me is change. And of course, in this quote, Charles Darwin said it beautifully hundreds of years ago. But he knew the very same thing that we know today, and that is, it is not the strongest of the species that will survive, nor is it the most intelligent, but it is the one that is most responsive to change. I heard people resisting digital technology. There's people maybe in the room who are still resisting digital technology because they're saying it just won't work. It's not going to give us the kind of outcome and result that we need. And yet, as more towers go up and as we begin to understand the technology of digital, what happens is in a very short period of time, it is really going to be wonderful that somebody was on the cutting edge to take that risk to get us where we needed to get. When you went from sitting to standing, most of you didn't do it real well. If you can think back even to your children, when you prop them up, it's a little tough to go from a big broad base to 2 support systems and then try to walk on top of that. You were terrible the first time. Now, isn't it fortunate somebody didn't say, I knew you couldn't do it, sit back down, you're never going to learn it. I knew it wouldn't work. You see, the boo birds come out when we do something brand new because they like watching you fail. And the reality is that anytime you do something brand new, you never do it very well. And yet, as you stay with it and practice it and develop it and enhance it, what happens is you get better and better. I watched every one of you come in this room today, and not one of you fell. Alfred Toffler, 25 years ago, said the most important skill you're going to learn in the next 25 is to learn how to unlearn. Some of us in this room don't unlearn very well. You see, if 20% of what you now know is going to become obsolete in 1 year, then you better darn well be able to unlearn.